For us in Delta, we believe that democracy affords every citizen the opportunity to express themselves, because the greatest ingredient in any democratic setting is the freedom. And that freedom could either be expressed vocally by individuals vocalizing their views or their position, or by way of movement, in which case individuals can afford to move from one group or the other, or one political party or the other. So once you have that free atmosphere, it helps to give strength to the principles of democracy, and that's what we have in Delta. And bearing in mind that our leader, the governor of Delta State, and the vice presidential candidate of the PDP have had the privilege of being in government for quite some time, and also having to be in the National Assembly, which of course is the greatest symbol of any democratic setting. He understands that everybody, even when you don't belong to his political party, that you do have a right to be able to express yourself. So on that note, different political parties have had the opportunity to interface with their supporters, seek more ways of getting more persons to also come on board, have opportunity of expressing their different intention to those who they are seeking to govern. But of course, you know, in Delta, PDP is more like in the DNA of the people, but that does not mean that other political parties are not trying to take steps to want to see how they can play, and play also in the bigger field. For us, we are one family, irrespective of the political differences that exist, but we will continue to plead with other political parties to know that being members of one family, you are very free to be able to express yourself, tell people what you want without having to lie or bring propaganda that will not promote the peace that we have in the state today. So in our state, we are quite comfortable that our people do understand that the PDP, being the ruling party, does have a whole lot of what you may call opportunities in terms of how much the party have done in adding value to the people, while the opposition political parties are also seeking ways of wanting to come in, and democracy allows that. So everything is going on smoothly. We allow everybody, unlike other states where they prevent people from even pasting their posters. You begin to see that those who claim they are popular, they are even afraid of just posters. In Delta, we will even allow you to campaign even in front of Government House, because we believe that we own the land in terms of politics, and as such, anybody campaigning is free to campaign, but we do know that we have done so much to be able to enjoy the support of the people.
All right, talking about differences, the governorship candidate of your party in Delta State, and that's Sheriff Oborewori, fought hard right up to the Supreme Court to retain the ticket of the party. What efforts are being made to reconcile aggrieved persons who took him to court and get everyone pulling in the same direction?
Well, let me also make it very, very clear that even going to court is also recognized by our law as part of the democratic processes. There are those who may have aspired. They have those who have also buried their own interest in their own ambition. And so when they are not able to win, those individuals are even positioned to either ask them to push forward because they are looking at their own interest. So those who went to court did not offend the law. That's what the law recognizes, that if you feel aggrieved, you can proceed to the court rather than having to engage in other processes that could disturb the peace of the land. And that was what those who lost out in the primaries did. But everybody agreed that the primaries of the PDP was very, very free, very, very fair, and that most Deltans supported Oborewori because, number one, he has got a grassroots support. Secondly, he has done well as the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly and being the longest-serving Speaker in Delta State. And of course, the fact that he was able to interface with a whole lot of the electorate, particularly the delegates, ahead of the primaries. And thereafter, there are individuals who took up other issues, which of course we do not quarrel about because it's within their democratic right. But the Supreme Court was very, very clear that what they did was not sufficient to undermine the election and to also undermine the credibility of the candidate of the PDP in Delta. And so today, we have taken steps to bring them back. A whole lot of them have come back, and we are moving more like one family. It is most likely that you could have one or two persons who may have fought so hard and may not see the need to come and be part of the House. But in all, there are a number of other persons who have joined us in the House. That is when I mean the House, I'm talking about the PDP family in Delta. A good number of those who were also involved in that contest have also returned. There are a few that we are still talking to, but the reason why we have to do that is not just because of the vote alone, but because Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa led a Delta that is one. And so Oborowori is also very much interested in continuing, taking a look at his more agenda to bring everybody on board so that at the end of the day, beyond winning the vote, he's able to also get everybody to support him in delivering the many laudable programs that he has already outlined that are soon as the development in Delta today. And so in winning the PDP, we are what you may say home and dry. We do hope that as we make progress, many more persons will also join the fold because they do know that looks like where you have the greener pasture.
All right, Mr. Charles, we would like to go on the commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue this discussion. Please stay with us.
Needs focused leadership to take decisive action to end insecurity, reposition our economy for businesses to thrive, and restore total peace in the land. Tinubu is the right man for the job. Through innovation and technology, he will reposition Nigeria for businesses to thrive. Nigeria will export more and import less. Tinubu will reposition the agricultural sector for food security and improve farmers' welfare. Electricity will be reformed for a brighter Nigeria. Health, education, and housing will be more accessible and affordable. Nigeria will be transformed into an entertainment powerhouse, a home of sporting achievement, and a renowned tourist destination. Tinubu's government will build a Nigeria where we prosper together. He has done it before, and he will do it again for Nigeria.
For Renewed Hope 2023, vote Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima as President and Vice President of Nigeria. Vote APC.
My name is Kashim Shettima. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the wall and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imota in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and I still have with me the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Charles Aniagwu. We're discussing governorship contest in Delta State. All right, Mr. Aniagwu, there is also this popular insinuation that there seems to be a sinister plot to stop Honorable Oborewori. Why is he attracting so much criticism and bad blood?
Well, those who want to stop him, of course, you know, they contested. They wanted to have that position, but the delegates chose Oborowori, and so you expect that they may want to put up a fight. But like I said earlier, a number of these persons have returned home. We are now moving as one because after the primaries, Oborowori and of course the leader of the party in the state, and that's the Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, took steps alongside other leaders of the party, including the chairman of the party, ACISO, to reach out to a number of persons. Meetings have continued to take place, all with a view to ensuring that they have a much more formidable family. So I don't want to believe there's any bad blood anymore. There were individuals who may not have been be happy enough. Of course, when somebody goes into an election or a contest and he loses, he was in that contest because he hopes that he'll be able to win. So you don't expect a man to lose and begin to clap or dance. And so all you need to do to mitigate the effect of the loss is to reach out. And that is what Oborowori and the leaders of the party in the state have done. To tell those who may have lost out in the primaries that you may lose today, but there's an opportunity for you to possibly win tomorrow. And that is about one Delta. Whatever idea you have, bring it on board. Oborowori is very accommodating. He's very much willing to work with all the persons, including those who contested with him. There are a number of them who are involved in the campaign trail. And even beyond that, Oborowori as a grassroots man, is very much determined to ensure that everybody get their fair share. And that is what makes us a very peaceful state. So there isn't much of bad blood like you mentioned.
All right. I also know that the governorship candidate received a boost when former Governor Emmanuel Dodd backed him. But we have not heard from another former governor, and that's James Ibori, whom many consider the backbone of the party. Will Sheriff get Ibori's backing in this coming election?
Sheriff has already gotten our leaders backing. Ibori is our national leader. He has contributed to the growth of the party in Delta very immensely. If you also check in 2019, he was not so much out there, but he's one person who reaches out to people, those who understand how he works. He's not one who is given to maybe noise making or rallying all the time. That is not to say that rally is bad. So Ibori is very much in the house. He's supporting the candidature of Atiku and Okowa. He's also very much in support of Oborowori. Don't forget that a whole lot of his allies are also in this election. But beyond the fact that his allies and members of his family are involved in this election, he's a key member of the PDP. He has contributed to the growth and the development of PDP in Delta. And so if anybody is thinking that he can afford to harvest our national leader, that person may need to go back and have another sleep and possibly dream in another direction. That's not going to happen because he's one man who believes that he has given much to the PDP. He has also benefited from the PDP, being a two-time governor of the state on the platform of the party. And so we are quite confident that as we make progress, his fatherly advice and his intervention, even at the back of at the back end, is going to help the party have a very, very wonderful outing in the course of the two elections that will take place on the 25th and then thereafter the governorship elections.
All right, so are you confirming to us that Sheriff has Ibori's backing?
Yes, very correct.
All right. All right, so let's move on. Now, one matter being discussed on the internet and beyond is the alleged rift between the governor of Delta State and former governor James Ibori. I would like you to tell us what is the true situation, and are those two guys still chummy? Because the rumor mill actually has it that Ibori is considering working with the Deputy Senate President, Omar Gege. Are you not worried that this kind of political marriage can badly hurt your principle and by extension his party, the PDP?
That marriage is only in the imagination of those who are consummated it, because there's no in-law to take the dowry in this that marriage you talked about. Ibori is the leader of the PDP in Delta. But of course, because we now have a governor by principle and by tradition, the governor of the state now becomes the leader of the party. But we see Ibori as our national leader. Don't forget that in 1999, he had the privilege with the president governor and then the immediate past governor, Emmanuel Dodd. It has been one family. PDP is one of the states where you had the three governors that have had cause to govern the state in the course of this dispensation, still belonging to the same political party, working together. And so those who are telling anybody in the public or out there that Ibori is looking in another direction, they are just telling stories for the purpose of exciting the ear. For us in Delta, we do know that he has always been a man of integrity and honor when you talk about these political issues, and we are counting also on that his fatherly advice and rule. And so it is not true that he's turning his back on the party. He is also maintaining a very good relationship with the vice presidential candidate of the PDP and the governor of Delta. And so for anybody to be thinking that Ibori is in a different camp, they may need to come and look again. Yes, it is quite obvious that in the course of the primaries, they had divergent views, which of course is allowed within the latitude of politicking. But thereafter, he has been able to understand that once you go into a contest, there will be a winner and there will be a loser. And so everybody, as I speak to you, Ibori's daughter is a candidate of the PDP seeking to represent one of our federal constituencies, specifically Ethiopia West and the East in the Federal House of Representatives, and is on the platform of the PDP. Today, she is also a member of the House of Assembly and chairman of the Appropriation Committee of the House of Assembly. And even yesterday here, we were all involved in a meeting where she was very much around. And so those who may be thinking that they are going to get the... Then go and sleep.
On this, a federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the request by PDP to disqualify the APC flag bearer, Ovie Omoagege, from participating in the March 11 governorship election in Delta State. Many say the PDP is jittery about Omoagege's rising popularity, hence the suit. How will you react to this?
I don't know where his rising popularity is. I don't know what that means. But in the case of a party going to court, that is allowed by our constitution. If you feel that your candidate does not have the requisite qualification to be involved in a contest, the democracy and our law permits that you should be able to seek redress in court. And if at the end of the day the court sees it differently, that is also what the law is. It means that the other person have been able to prove his case, possibly beyond what you are looking at. But I wouldn't know on the issue of popularity how popular. Maybe he's popular on TV, but on ground, I can tell you that he's not popular for so many reasons. He represents Delta Central in the Nigerian Senate. In that Delta Central, for the few projects he has been privileged to be able to attract, even if they are still at signboard level, he just took all of them to only his community, not even his local government, just his community, and abandoned every other person in the other 7 local government and part of his own local government. So for that reason, even those he's representing are angry with him. Not to talk of Delta North and Delta South, where he does not even have a stronghold. And so I can predict that in this election, if he's able to see 2 local government in form of victory, then it means that his star is overshining more than we can imagine. But be rest assured that Oborowori will defeat him hands down, and we're happy that the Beavers does not give room for any form of thuggery or any form of manipulation. So you will see the result, and you will understand that in our DNA, we have PDP. Secondly, another important thing that is working and going for Oborowori is the performance of Okowa. When you see the development that have taken place in the 3 senatorial districts, whether in the southern senatorial district where you have a whole number of the creeks that were hitherto not attended to, or in the central senatorial district where a number of bridges and schools have been built and hospitals, as well as the number of schools that we have established across the 3 senatorial districts, not to talk of what we have done in Delta North, where today, as our capital territory, is wearing entirely new look. For all these, the PDP has got what it takes to be able to win, so that anybody who even becomes the candidate of the PDP already has 50% that is standing on. And then when you now have a candidate like Oborowori that also has what we call strict credibility, very much close to the grassroots, you already have another 25 added to it. Then in addition to the fact that we are reaching out massively, of course you see that the remaining 25%, we should still be able to take as much as 15%. So thereby, because we are quite considerate, we may just manage to allow them have maybe less than 10% and let them make do with that, because we are brother's keeper. But be rest assured that Oborowori will defeat Senator Omoagege hands down. And the history of Omoagege, you recall when we apologized on his behalf as a state government, the history in the Senate is not too palatable for him to be able to come back home. In Delta, we believe that people should represent us with a very high measure of credibility. What he did with the maize and the desecration of the upper chamber is not counting in his favor. And we will still take this opportunity to apologize to Nigerians for that particular act, because that's not who we are in Delta. We do hope that in the course of time, we will come back again and tender another apology on his behalf. Because when we voted for him to go to the Senate, we thought he would just go there and represent us with all sorts of responsibility and humility, and not to go and desecrate the hallowed chamber of the Senate, where I've had the privilege of covering as a correspondent for more than a decade.
Interesting. All right, let's discuss further. Governor Okowa has had nearly 8 eventful years as governor of Delta State. How much work has he done that convinces you that the people of Delta State will reward PDP with fresh mandates in the governorship, legislative, as well as presidential elections?
Each time we write the exam, the persons who set the exam, first of all, look at what they call the marking scheme. So that even if the examiner is not around, whoever is marking the papers will take advantage of the marking scheme to be able to know how to award the marks. For us in Delta, the marking scheme is what we call the SMART agenda. When Okowa approached the people in 2014, he came up with a smart agenda. That smart agenda embodied policy priorities that tend to address 5 thematic areas. One is strategic wealth creation, which is aimed at bringing back the jobs and improving the economy of our people. The second one, which is the M, is meaningful peace building, which is aimed at also bringing about a peace and harmony among the diverse ethnic groups in Delta. The A is reforms in the agricultural sector and, of course, industrialization of that particular sector. The R is what we call relevant reforms in education and the health sector. And, of course, the T, which is transform environment through urban renewal. So when you look at these 5 thematic areas, in the case of strategic wealth creation, Okowa have directly ensured that made it possible for over 19,000 Deltans to become entrepreneurs. These 19,000 persons have remotely been able to also give birth to more than 100,000 Deltans, who today are entrepreneurs in their own right, and they are doing very well. And that is why our GDP has also risen much higher than one, has also made it possible for us to be able to get so many other persons engaged, whether in the area of building bridges, the number of roads. We have built as much as 1,870 kilometers of road, not minding the more than 1,000 line drains that we have also built with a view to controlling flood and ensuring that the roads last much longer than they used to in time past on account of a flood, having to wear out the shoulders. Then, of course, we have also done well in the agricultural sector, ensuring that most of our people return to the farms, particularly in the area of commercial agriculture, where we distributed a whole lot of farms and then established a number of agricultural settlements for our people to be able to have some form of impact on our people. Today, we have what we call Delta Gari, which is even being exported out of the state. We have also done well in terms of rebuilding our schools, ensuring that what we have done to a number of our urban areas, in the creeks, where before now it was difficult to build roads, we have built hundreds of kilometers of roads, including building a floating market in a place called Ogeidimigun in Warren North local government area. These are the reasons why you are now seeing that there's so much peace in Delta. If you have been in this country before 2015, you know that Delta for some time were always in the news for the wrong reasons. Nobody hears about destruction of pipelines anymore. It didn't just happen overnight. It is because we took away those projects that they were promised that were in the pipeline and brought it on the ground that people can now relate to them. The roads are now visible for people to traverse in the creeks. The hospitals are now there in the creeks. The schools are now there in the creeks. They now have a market that is of international standard. So why would they be looking for the pipelines to burst? And so when you also come to the upland and see the amount of roads, not long ago you saw the number of projects we commissioned, including a film village, the only film village in the whole of Africa, in the whole of Nigeria, in West Africa. We also built what we call the leisure park, a very big one for that, with a zoo. And once you come in there, you can only say that government is working. And our people are very, very appreciative. They have also given us in return enough peace for us to be able to develop further. And that is why we have said that up to the 28th of May this year, we will continue to work. And we are working, they are seeing it, they are seeing that more projects are being commissioned, a number of bridges are being built. And so, my sister, there's so much to be recorded. And so if you ask us to score ourselves, taking the cognizance of that marking scheme I talked about earlier, you will discover that we are in the A region.
All right, Mr. Charles, so are you confident that these achievements and the ones you haven't spoke about are enough for your party to retain power in Delta State?
We are not only going to retain power, we will win more than we have done before. What Okowa has done will also affect the fortunes positively of the ticket of Atiku and Okowa. Our people in Delta are very, very appreciative, very, very appreciative. When you hear him call Delta, call him roadmaster, it is not because he's a motorcycle. It is because he has been able to do so much in the road sector. They are also struggling, those who are in the sports sector. You do know that for quite some time now, Delta has always been #1 in sports. All that is because of the input of the state government. You have also seen what we are doing in entertainment. Today, Delta is the home of Nollywood. Why is it happening? Is it because we have the best of atmosphere in terms of climatic condition? No, it is because we have become the best in terms of creating an enabling environment for people to operate and survive.
All right, Mr. Charles, we're running out of time, but let me quickly ask you this. Many have accused the state government of borrowing to fund the PDP presidential campaign. What do you have to say about this?
This is political period. We do not begrudge them. They are very free to play politics. We didn't borrow to fund politics. In 2022, after certain reconciliation with the federal government, it was discovered that about 240 billion needed to be given back to Delta State on account of shortfalls that should have been remitted to us due to the 13% derivation. But the Federation said it was not possible for them to give us the 240 billion at once. And because of the issue of fluctuation in the value of our currency and the fact that we have a whole lot of projects that we need to deliver to our people, we decided to embark on a discount process where we needed to take what you call a bridging finance to be able to take part of that money for the purpose of delivering a number of these projects. And that we have done. We listed the projects to include the Mother and Child Hospital. We have also built and completed the Advanced Diagnostic Medical Center. The work is ongoing along the Agwashuku Ugeli dual carriage, and a number of bridges that we have built in addition to so many technical colleges. So those who are saying that we are taking loan to support election have not been able to see what to talk, how to stain us with anything. But be rest assured, my sister, that's not what we are doing. What we are doing is to deliver projects. They expected us to stop so that we cannot score more marks. We believe that the more projects we deliver, the more it brightens our chances to be able to win the next election. The more we would have been able to write our name in the, left some remarkable footprints in the sands of time, which the opposition doesn't want us to do, because the more remarks we have positively, the more difficult it is for them to win. So, my sister, we are not funding anybody. We are just doing projects, and governance will continue in Delta up to the 28th of May this year, election or no election.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Charles Aniagwu is the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. We've been discussing the governorship contest in Delta State. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight. It's indeed a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me, my sister.
All right, let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with the manager of Comrade Society Music, an advocacy group deploying music as a tool against fake news, Nelson Ekujimi, for discussion on fake news and the 2023 general election. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the second guest of the day. I am now joined by the manager of the Comrade Society Music, COSOM, an advocacy group deploying music as a tool against fake news, Nelson Ekujimi, for discussion on fake news and the 2023 general election. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ekujimi.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening.
Good evening to you. All right. You and your like-minded friends set up a group to work against the preeminence of fake news in our country. Tell us, to what extent is fake news dangerous for our polity?
Oh, thank you very much. The menace that fake news constitutes is not only to our society, it is to the whole of humanity. That area of human engagement has become a big business for agents of destabilization. And that is why today, the greatest danger to our democracy and our existence as human beings on planet Earth is the menace of fake news. And if this is not tackled frontally by all and sundry, one day we wake up and, you know, the Third World War would have been ignited by these agents of evil who don't mean us anything. You look at our society today, with the way the fake news has come, why fake news has come rampant is because, you know, they are buyers of fake news. You know, where there are no sellers, where there are no buyers, there will be no sellers, because somebody sends an information out and some persons, without introspection, without looking at the merits and demerits of such an information, start sharing it. And before you know, that information, as satanic as it is, as negative as it is, you know, goes viral. And if it is not countered on time, you know, it becomes, you know, the truth, just like Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist, said, tell a lie 1,000 times and it becomes the truth. You recollect some weeks back or months back, the Vice President said when he became aggrieved, he went to Mr. President and told Mr. President that, look, some people are, you know, maligning my character. And Mr. President told him, that Mr. Vice President, don't bother yourself. The same people said, I'm going to take a second wife. And, some people went to the National Mosque and they were waiting for me to come and perform the second wife marriage ceremony. Even when nobody has heard from me, nobody has seen my family, make any preparations. So that is, the danger of fake news, in our society and the world at large. I recollect when the national coordinator of my organization went to the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. And, because the Commissioner of Police in Lagos bought, wholesale into the advocacy against fake news. And the man gave us, I'm talking of the federal president, Mr. Advertisements, the CP of Nigerian Police Lagos State Command, when he spoke to us, including the national coordinator of my group, from Babatunde Ashafa, he said, look, we must together fight this war. That there was a time some person said, oh, there's kidnapping going on in Karachi, that is outward Lagos, to Oyo State. And he said they deployed men and materials there. And after thorough investigation, they discovered that nothing of such happened. He also gave another example. He said there was this case of fire burning in my 12. And he had to quickly call the two police divisions covering the my 12 market. That, come on, gentlemen, I have this information that there's fire break in your vicinity and that it is consuming and causing chaos. And he said the DPO, the national police officers of the two police divisions, replied that there's nothing of such. That in order to convince their boss, because he was about to move down there with men, that the DPOs even had to do a video, only for them, in the course of investigating the story, to recognize that that incident for which the security apparatus were tricked or the false alarm was placed happened about 4 or 5 years ago. He also talked about the Muhammadu Buhari estate around the Upafrodas on the Badagry Expressway, where it was reported on the social media that some Boko Haram and bandits are inhabiting the place. And the Commissioner of Police again said, based on that information on social media, they rushed down there, they combed the place for days, but they couldn't find a thing inhabiting the place. So you can imagine the enormous energy and resources that have been devoted for information which found out at the end of the day to have been false. So it means tomorrow, if there's a genuine information, the security apparatus will be very reluctant as it is natural for anything. That is this another fake news or is this genuine? So those are part of the dangers that fake news portends. I'm looking at the 2023 general election. You can see the avalanche of fake news that has become the order of the day. Just a few days ago, we had that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Aniagwu, there's this rumor that the man is going to take a second wife. And, whether you like it or not, some people will take that information with total belief. But, people who have, same mind will, do an introspection and say, look, what is happening here?
All right,
we also recognize.
While we analyze the merit and demerit of the internet and social media, yes, great inventions, but they are also subject to abuse. What can the government do to address the problem of abuse on the internet and social media?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. The role the government can play in addressing the merit that the social media has become is for us, to upscale the security apparatus such that, these perpetrators of, evil acts can be quickly apprehended as they are, as they are releasing their first cargo. Because whether we like it or not, people who have made this a thriving industry will continue in it. But we have to send a strong message that this society, the protection of life and property, the maintenance of law and order supersede anything. And that is why the government must upscale the technological innovations with regards to our security architecture, such that they will be able to combat these menaces. And even on our own part, based on our advocacy, we are trying to ensure that we go to the National Assembly and, advocate for the introduction of a bill, declaring a day as Anti-Fake News Day, and, for us all to be on the same page to determine which other way we can go to combat this menace. That we are doing at the level of comrade society news.
All right. Undoubtedly, the culture of fact-checking has not been embraced by a lot of young people in our country. I'd like to ask you, is this simply a case of lack of education or laziness on the part of young people?
I think we can attribute it to so many factors. When you see, even, it is not only the young people, even some persons who are elderly are also guilty of this. And what we do majorly, we ask people that what is the difference between a human being and an animal? The human being is a creation of the Almighty with intellect. The animals don't have the intellect like human beings. When an information comes to any responsible person, any person who has his brain on his head, who is sensitive to information dissemination, I think what would guide such a person to be the four-way charter of the Rotary International. Is it good? Is it beneficial to mankind? Will it project goodwill among all men? So these are the factors that one should ask. For example, let me give an example. I had a sister-in-law who sent a post to my wife some days ago. And when I saw that message, the question I had to call her because I was very angry. I had to call her and I asked her that this information you have passed, where did this originate from? She said, I don't know. This, I don't know. Time, I don't know. Who produced it? I don't know. And I'm like, and you can send an information that even you yourself, you cannot authenticate. I said, and now I have to educate her. Then what is the difference between you and the lower animalists and JPC? So it belongs on us as citizens to raise our consciousness through this our advocacy so that we ourselves will be fact checkers. A lot of times people, when a story suits their narrative, they don't care. They want to, they just want to play along. And that is why we must have laws in place. We must raise the consciousness so that immediately you are sending this type of, negative messages that portend danger to our society, people are already calling you to warn you. Because I've had people who would say, somebody sent me a message and I have to call that person that don't ever send me this type of message. Tell me, the project of fake news have lost one customer. So we all need, to upscale our listening. And that starts from the home, from our institutions. How well-educated or enlightened, how do we grow our young ones? And even we as parents, what role are we playing to showcase the path that our young ones to follow? Because we are the mirrors that the young ones look at in their daily endeavor. So when we miss the step, the young ones definitely follow us and miss the step, thinking that missing the step is the way to go. So it is a miracle of reason, but naturally it starts from the home.
Right.
That we need to educate ourselves, we need to educate our family members that look, when information comes to you, the first thing for you to do if you are not sure is to ask those that you feel could be better placed, to provide you answers. And if you cannot get the answers you require, in line with the motto of the Rotary International that I enumerated earlier, then let that information that has been sent to you, let it be buried right there. That is what we should do.
All right. Your group, that is Comrade Society Music, is Deploying music as one of the tools to fight fake news. How effective is this strategy?
Oh, the strategy has just started because we recognize that music, is a global phenomenon. And because we are targeting majority youth, we have now decided to use an instrument of communicating with them majorly, to address this mainly. And we have the video, we have, shot a video as well as audio, to propagate this message. And we have even brought the video to your media organization, as well as we are going around some other media organizations to do the same. We want them on board as partners because we recognize that we cannot do this alone. We recognize the role the media play in the life of any society. The media is there for education, information, and entertainment. And that is why we are using this medium to also call on those who are yet to partner with us, that we are open for partnership, for this societal cause to make our humanity better. So the music as the tool that we are using, the response that we are getting right now is encouraging, but we can still do more. And in doing more, we need more ads. And the more ads are the Nigerian people.
All right, but then how much more is your organization doing to run this advocacy in our local languages for easy accessibility of all Nigerians?
Absolutely. That is another channel we are exploring already. We are right now in the studio trying to translate it into our local languages, such that our mothers in the villages, because a lot of times, even our people in the rural areas call us and they are telling us, oh, I saw this information, is this true? So if we translate this advocacy into our local languages, then the message will sink deeper, will have the buying of our people in the rural areas. So we are not taking it for granted that, our message has to go beyond our lingua franca, which is English, that, we must go and speak to our people in the languages they understand. So we are exploring that avenue. You can be rest assured that in the days ahead, you will see more of this advocacy in the local languages such that Nigerians themselves will become the ambassadors, they will become the advocates of fake news, and the merchants in this evil enterprise, we know that their days are numbered.
Fantastic. All right. As an election monitor and political analyst, what have you seen in the days leading to the 2023 elections that suggests that fake news can actually set our country ablaze?
Well, the truth of the matter is that from time immemorial, since the advent of this democracy, it has been developed by fake news, many. You recognize that on election day, even before election is concluded in some places, some persons are already, announcing results and posting it on social media just to incite and confuse. At the last election in the state, I recollect those really well because I was an observer present. When people started, throwing up results of election of 2018 for the 2022 governorship election, and that has been the trend. Unfortunately, our security apparatus have not moved to the level that the obvious of this incitement are arrested and prosecuted. But going forward in days ahead, the greatest threat to the 2023 general election, I must confess to you, is the menace of fake news. Nigerians, I want to use this medium to alert Nigerians that agents of fake news are determined, to undermine the credibility of the 2023 general election. But we must not allow them. We must always seek for the information. You recollect, just in Lagos, we saw what happened with regards to the invasion of INEC office in Oshodi by some group of people, of which the INEC resident electoral commissioner in Lagos condemned such acts of irresponsibility by a supposed elder statesman and somebody who is supposed to be a role model with his party members. You can imagine if every party has to go to the INEC office to exercise that type of illegality. You can imagine what becomes of an institution like that. So it is the ball is in our court right now to be on red alert. So that agents of fake news, purveyors of fake news, liars, peddlers of falsehood and misinformation, we must make it known to them from now on that look, your pledge will be an exercise in futility as it regards the 2023 general election. We'll be focused on information only from the legitimate, and constitutionally empowered agencies of state. I think that is the way to go for all of us.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Nelson Ekujimi. He is the manager of Comrade Society Music, an advocacy group deploying music as a tool against fake news. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight. And I must say, well done to you and members of your group.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVCNewsNG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVCNewsNigeria. Join us for the repeat episode at midnight and tomorrow for another edition of Politics Tonight. Digging beyond the headlines. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be a patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
Good morning.
Good morning. Why is your sun shining like this?
Can't you see that Harmattan season is here? We need to protect our children from this dry weather.
What about the invisible germs?
Invisible germs?
During Harmattan, it's not enough to only protect your skin. You also need protection from these invisible germs. To protect our families, we use Dettol.
Harmattan season brings